Hello, welcome everyone. It is FMC, not in the weeds. I should probably change that background, but what can you do? It is Tuesday, November 5th. I'm Jeremy. That is SP3. How you doing today, SP3?
Now that we changed the background, I feel much more comfortable because I was very confused myself. But yes, we are back. FMC, your go-to here on Fightful Overbook for everything not wrestling. So I hope you got all the wrestling out your system on the actual In the Weeds yesterday because we got a lot to discuss. We got the NBA Week 2. The Milwaukee Bucks are still trash, and it seems to be getting worse. Your Jeremy's, or I mean, if you watched our preview, my Oklahoma City Thunder are undefeated. The LA Lakers, not so much. Miserable. Our bench sucks, and we'll talk about that. The Cavaliers are unbeaten. Boston's still good. Phoenix is really good. So we got a lot to discuss over there. And then we also got one of the most chaotic, toxic, and messy reunions in reality show history from Love is Blind season 7. Enjoy.
We're going to get into Love is Blind and the challenge a little bit later on. I can't tell if your internet is bad now or mine. I feel like it's yours this time. I feel like it's more yours than mine.
Usually what I see on the side is like the bars are going low, but you did freeze just now, so I don't know if it was me or you. Do I look like I'm talking out of a potato?
No, the audio is not quite in sync, and sometimes it's freezing on your end. I don't have usually I see the little the little Wi-Fi bars that pop up in the corner.
Yeah,
it's not actually popping up for me. Usually it does. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it's fine for everybody else, and we'll just make do. I'm listening. I listen more than I see anyway. So all right. We got a lot to talk about. We got Love is Blind, as SP3 mentioned. We got the challenge. Our pal Cher Delaware will join us a little bit later on. We will talk about that. But first, the NBA is in full swing now. A couple weeks into the season. SP3 was a good week for the Lakers last week. Kind of went back down to reality this week. Give an update. How you feeling as a Lakers fan?
Well, back to life, back to reality. The new coach smell is starting to wear off on JJ Redick because you can't coach what you don't have, and what the Lakers don't have is a bench. Our bench is cooked. We need reinforcements because every time we put the bench in, we are down by like 10 to 20 points. The embarrassing loss yesterday to the Detroit Pistons really made me put things into perspective because I was just, the other loss that we had this week, I was like, all right, fine, it's fine. Maybe we'll be okay. Maybe it's a 1-game thing, but no. Last night really confirmed my suspicions that we're just not good of a bench. The bench is cooked. We need reinforcements for the bench. We need some backups to step up and take a step in the right direction because every time we put them in, it's not looking good. We had a close game with the Toronto Raptors, which we won. The Cavs game, we got smacked the hell out of, which is looking like the team that I probably underestimated the most in our preseason preview was the Cleveland Cavaliers, as they're still undefeated. So I'm hoping that we can get this all together because last night was not a fun time watching that Pistons game.
Our pal J.K. Shaw. I'm gonna read this now because he said he's gonna catch the replay, but he just sent this. We'll catch the replay later. Stopping in to say I might not watch a single second of the NBA rest of the year, but I appreciate y'all. The Bucks are dead. Let's go OKC. Take care. Be good, guys. My hottest take, which we'll get to here, I might give it away now. I'll comment on the Lakers, then I might give my hottest take. It is Bucks related. My hottest take is on the Lakers. I thought they would win last night. It's the Pistons. They should win last night. They should beat the Pistons, but that was a tough loss last night. The other losses, it didn't seem. The Cavs are good. So the Cavs loss is all right, sure. The Cavs, they're undefeated. They're the only other undefeated team besides OKC. It's always tough traveling West Coast to East Coast. That was the first game of the road trip as well. It's like, all right, sure, you lost to the Cavs. Like, that might not be terrible. They lost to the Suns as well. The Suns had them down big in the first game. They came back to win. The last night against the Pistons, though, yeah, that exposed some stuff like, that new coach smell has already kind of worn off. And now we are seeing the flaws of the Los Angeles Lakers roster. I still think they'll make a move at some point this season. But yeah, you're now seeing that it is more of a flawed roster than we saw that first week. As bad as things
one through five, we're good. We're good. Rui Hachimura has been a good five person to put in there. We'll play in the 4, but like the 5th starter to put in there. 1 through 5, we're good. But when Cam Reddish is your best player coming off the bench, it's not a good look.
What, as bad as things are for the Los Angeles Lakers, though, SP3, I'm gonna get it away. I'm gonna give it away right now. My hottest take. This is a new thing we're doing this season. I'm gonna start us off right with a what I think is a scorching hot take. The Milwaukee Bucks will not make the playoffs.
Wow. That is a hot take.
They will not
make
the playoffs. I'm not even going to qualify this. I thought about qualifying it of like as currently constructed, because that gives you out of like, oh, they'll fire the coach. They'll make a trade. No, we won't. I'm not even going to qualify it. The Milwaukee Bucks will not make the playoffs. Maybe they make the play-in. Play-in doesn't count to me. I'm not counting the play-in as a playoffs because 10 teams make that. That doesn't count. Playoffs. They'll not make the playoffs.
You know what? I am going to add this to my notes tab. Oh,
we should keep track of our hottest takes. Okay,
yes,
this is a good idea. All right,
hottest takes.
I'll do the same thing so we can look back on
Got it right here.
at the end of the season.
Yeah. And today is 11/5/24. Jeremy's hottest take, the Milwaukee Bucks not making the playoffs.
Okay, FMC hottest takes. I'm going to keep track of this as well. November 5th. I'm going to write down the date on this. All right. My hottest take, Jeremy, Milwaukee Bucks will not make the playoffs. You can give your hottest take later on if you want, SP3, because I know we're going to do our top 3, bottom 3 as well.
Yeah.
But hottest takes for
That's tough.
That's tough. All right. I'm gonna switch internet. 1 second.
That's a really good one. I have to give it up to Jeremy because that one takes some balls. A team that we pretty much both had in the top half of the Eastern Conference, but they haven't looked good at all. And like, yeah, they have 2 losses to the 3 of their 6 losses have been to the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. So to be fair to them, what can you do? Those are the 2 top teams in the Eastern Conference. But they got demolished by the Milwaukee Bucks. They got demolished by the Memphis Grizzlies. They got kind of smacked by the Brooklyn Nets. And they got smacked by the Chicago Bulls. This is a very flawed team. It's very much feeling like the Damian Lillard trade has aged so poorly. Like the same thoughts that people had about the Bradley Beal trade for the Phoenix Suns, they should really be in retrospect being like, maybe we were wrong on that one. Maybe that one needed a year and change to kind of mesh together. And they've looked good in the first 2 weeks of the season. And then you look at the Milwaukee Bucks and it's like, that's the trade that aged poorly. That's the real trade that aged really poorly, because it really feels like even though Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards are not on the same team, and the fact that we got Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert not on the same team anymore. Those were the 2 duos over the last 2-3 years that people were like, are they really friends? They don't really mesh well on the floor. Like these 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard, feel like they're not even reading the same book. They're let alone not on the same page. They're not even on the same book. They don't look like they're friends outside of this whole basketball game. And it's really, that trade has aged poorly for the Milwaukee Bucks right now.
Jake said when we were talking on Twitter the other day. I was like, Giannis and Dame look like they just met each other before the game started. That's what I said to him, and then he replied, they just met each other, and then they found out one of their dogs died. Like, that's the vibe that they're giving. It's like, oh, nice to meet you. By the way, my dog just died. Like, that's the vibe that they give out there. Giannis was hurt last night. Like, they played the Cavs well last night. They played the Cavs well the other night. It came down to Donovan Mitchell hitting a tough shot. Why Gary Trent Jr. was guarding Donovan Mitchell in the clutch and not Giannis is beyond me. You have Giannis parked in the corner on Isaiah Okoro, I believe. Huh? Why are you putting Giannis in the corner on him? Like, no, that should be where Gary Trent Jr. If Isaiah Okoro is gonna beat you with a 3, fine, you live with that. I'm not letting Donovan Mitchell get that shot off. Like, I'm putting my best player on Donovan Mitchell in that situation. It was a very weird like decision to not have Giannis on the ball on Mitchell in that situation. Look, they're not good. And sometimes your record doesn't always indicate how good you may or may not are. Sometimes there's circumstances. You might be losing to bad teams, or you might be losing to really good teams. The variance, the shot variance might not swing your way one game. When you're 1-6, your record speaks for itself. It does. It just does. They need to do something. I don't know what that is, whether it is a trade, whether it's firing Doc. They got to do something, though. The chatter is always going to be, oh, does Giannis went out? Do you trade Giannis? I don't even know what a Giannis trade looks like. Like, what team has what you would want to make that trade worthwhile? The first call would be to Oklahoma. Like, how many draft picks y'all willing to give up in this move? What are y'all willing to give up? But I don't think I'm not going to say this.
Chet and 2 firsts.
Here's the thing. It's very tough for me to say, yeah, don't trade for Giannis. That sounds very stupid. Hey, don't trade for Giannis. But at the same time, I'm thinking, is it smart to trade for Giannis? With the team as it's currently constructed, do you need to trade for Giannis? Would a trade for trading J-Dub, Chet, all the draft picks for Giannis, does that guarantee you a title? Does that give you a better chance to win the title than as currently constructed? And the answer could be yes. I can see the answer being yes, of like, yeah, Giannis allows you to do this. I can also see the answer being like, well, they're already right there. Does Giannis really get you as closer as you need to be? You're going to you're going to hurt team chemistry. You're going to hurt your future with all of these draft picks. You're going to hurt the way you play, because right now the way they play is, hey, everybody can score from every position on the court. Everybody can shoot from 3. Everybody can drive. Giannis doesn't fully play like that. He needs the ball in his hand more. Obviously, look, he's a better player than anybody on the team, with the exception of possibly Shea. And if you want to make the argument that he's better than Shea, I'm not going to stop you from it. They do different things, but Giannis is, aside from Jokic, I'm comfortable saying he's the number 2 player in the league. But he can't shoot from 3. He's not going to shoot from 3. And so it's going to muck up some of the stuff that they might want to do. Is it worth it? That's a decision they have to make. I don't think it's a worthwhile move when they're already this good. They're not hurting to get over the top. So they can just stay pat and deal with whoever else trades for Giannis. I will say, I hope he goes to a team in the East. I certainly don't want him in the West. That's
I think that would be the dumbest decision by the Milwaukee Bucks to trade him within the conference. I would say that the teams that I would say would be like the probably a better kind of get, because like you said, I agree with you with the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you're this good with just drafting and a couple of really key trades like Shea, then no, you don't mess up that formula. You don't mess up the chemistry of the team and having to kind of put it all together on the fly. But there are a bunch of teams in the West that would benefit if Giannis did become available, like a Dallas Mavericks. I think Dallas Mavericks, if you trade like Kyrie, I don't know about their draft situation, but Kyrie and a couple of other players, Derek Lively, since he's a young player. Yeah, that's a team that I could see. And putting Luka and Giannis together, I mean, you could fall into a same situation as Dame and Giannis, but I mean, Luka is a top 5 player, and Dame at his best when he got traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, he was a top 20, top 25 player. It's not like getting a top 5 player in the league and teaming them up with another top 5 player in the league. That's 2 of the top 5 players in all of the NBA and all of the world, pretty much, Giannis and Luka together. I mean, if you talk about like a perfect world, if you're the Denver Nuggets, that's another team that if you put 2 of the top 5 players in the league together and you could trade MPJ and Jamal Murray, all your draft picks for the next couple of years, that's another team that would benefit from getting someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then even like there's lower teams on the totem pole in the Western Conference that would benefit from having Giannis on their team. The Memphis Grizzlies. They have some, I know they have some draft compensation that they can give to the Milwaukee Bucks, and they have young players. They got kind of like key players that would work out well and probably work better with Damian Lillard. And Damian Lillard has done more. He's done more with less than what he's been doing with the Milwaukee Bucks and when he was with the Portland Trailblazers. But I think if you're Giannis, you want to go to a team that you can actually contend with.
If you're trading Giannis, you're trading Lillard as well. You have no reason to keep Lillard if you're trading Giannis, because if you're giving up on Giannis, then you're basically giving up on the next 5 years of your franchise. And I don't think they're going to trade Giannis, by the way.
No,
unless he goes to them and obviously says like, "Hey, trade me," and then you're at his mercy there. And look, we've seen, how many times have we seen this in the NBA? SP3. We're talking, oh, what about Memphis? Oh, what about Dallas? If Giannis doesn't want to go to these places, he ain't going to these places. Dame was almost the exception of the rule of like, oh, he only wants to go to Miami. Anyway, we're going to trade you to Milwaukee. How'd that work out for the Bucks? Trading for a disgruntled star who doesn't want to be there that doesn't typically work out for a team. Some stars might make it work. Paul George, OKC, he wanted to go to LA. OKC traded for him. Kind of worked. At the end of the day, he still ended up going to LA because that's where he wanted to be. It worked out in OKC's favor with how that trade played out. But I'm talking about the immediate of playing in OKC. If Giannis doesn't want to go,
the best example of that is Kawhi Leonard didn't want to go to the Toronto Raptors, and then he won a championship there.
Yeah, some players will be fine. They'll play through it. They'll do, but then you risk losing them for nothing. And if you don't get a championship, then what's going to happen there? Giannis is still on the books until he doesn't become a free agent. It is a player option in 2027, 2028. So you still have 2 years, really 3, counting this year. You still have 3 years to where.
So looking forward, do you see Giannis staying with the Milwaukee Bucks?
Like, how far forward are we looking?
To his player option in 2027.
Oh. I think he makes it through this season. I think they retool, they do what they can throughout the season, and then the off season. Next year is the year I'm looking at of, okay, what do things look like around him? Because next year, then you only have 2 years, basically less than 2 years before the player option. So now teams are going to be more incentivized to try to trade for him of like, okay, I'm going to get him for basically a guaranteed year. And then I got that entire year to get him to opt into his player option or potentially resign. I think he makes it through this season. Unless he again goes and is like, yeah, no, I want out. I think he makes it through this season. But then I'd start looking at next season if things aren't going well of how it might look.
If I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, even if he does want to leave this season, I'm keeping him. I'm keeping him at least for this season, and then you can see during the offseason. I think that it's more likely that Damian Lillard gets traded.
I think a Lillard trade is certainly more likely than a Giannis trade. Like if Miami still wants Damian Lillard, the value isn't going to be what it once was, but also Miami, if they really want him, they'd just have to pay up on that. I don't know who else would potentially want Lillard, and I don't know what the price is on Lillard either.
Yeah, I don't know if he's like hurt his value with the way that these guys have been playing or not, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I will give you my hot take. My hot take is the Houston Rockets are going to make the playoffs.
Is that a hot take?
I think it is. I think it is because I said playoffs. I didn't even say battle for a play. Okay. I'm saying top six in the NBA. I really
okay. Top six is okay. All right, top six. I'm gonna put that down instead of make the playoffs.
All right, top six, no play-in.
Okay,
playoffs.
That's top six is a hotter take than making the playoffs because playoffs you did clarify that like it doesn't count as play-in, but technically if you make the play-in and then you win the play-in, you make the playoffs. But saying top six, guaranteed playoff spot. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. I really like these young boys. They feel I said it during our preview that they feel like the OKC Thunder of 2 years ago, and like watching them play, I've been really impressed with them. Most of all, that game against the Knicks. I think I'm strongly basing this on this game against the Knicks, who haven't looked the greatest either, to be honest. They are still, and we kind of predicted this with the Knicks at the early portion of the season. They're going to be going through their growing pains. But Sengun seems like a double machine. You got Jalen Green, who seems to be always, he can shoot the ball well. He's also been doing a little bit more playmaking. I think Van Vliet is a key kind of glue guy on the team. So I like their young core that they have assembled here. I like their veterans that they have on the roster. They really feel like a strong young team that is going to be around in the playoffs for a very long time. But this season, I'm thinking top six.
Okay. I like the Knicks, I like the Rockets. I'm not quite sure what to make of them because they did lose to the Spurs. Like that's not the best loss in the world. The Warriors are apparently really good. I don't know what happened there, but apparently the Warriors are
this Steph Curry still thinks he's playing in Paris.
I mean, Steph's been hurt and they were still winning. Steph was out for like
Steve Kerr is coaching like he's still in Paris.
Yeah. So the Warriors are good. They lost to the Hornets, but then they have good wins, like beating the Mavericks and beating the Knicks. They play the Spurs again. They play the Thunder this week. That'll be a tough test for them. I think the Rockets have, it's never been the pieces for them. The pieces are there. It's a matter of making the pieces fit together. And we saw it at times last season, but then there were times last season where we didn't see it and it kind of just fell apart. It feels like it's very similar this year where we're seeing the pieces work together and it's good. And then there are some games like the Spurs game where it's like, oh, the pieces together look kind of ugly and people haven't quite figured out what they're supposed to be doing. So they're good. I don't know about top 6, but I like the hottest take. I like that as the hottest take.
Hottest take. Rockets top 6. They'll be a 6 seed, but
right.
top 6.
I respect it. All right. You want to do top 3, bottom 3 for the week?
Yes. I mean, you made it easier for me because I pretty much had my top 5 ready, but then I remembered that you said top 3, bottom 3, trying to make your job easier because the bottom 5 can be difficult to assemble, but top 3 is easy for me this week. Number 3, the reigning NBA champion, Boston Celtics. Still looking good, still looking strong. I feel like they're gonna have very much a dynasty type kind of vibe in the regular season, which can be bad because we saw what happened with the Denver Nuggets last season, where they really felt like they were in dynasty mode. They won a championship and they're like, oh, we're gonna sleepwalk our way to the NBA finals, and then they got bumped in the second round. But it really feels like their team is just so tightly assembled. They're 7-1, looking good so far. I mean, their one loss was in overtime and needed a miracle effort from the Indiana Pacers to get that win. So I think that the Boston Celtics safe as a number 3 for me this week.
Bottom 3, number 3, we're going to go with the 76ers. Paul George returned last night, missed a potential game-tying shot. They haven't been healthy. You know, I don't – that's always tough when you're 2 of your top 3 players are out. I don't know when Embiid's going to come back. There's already the turmoil with Embiid. And look, by the way, I don't blame him one bit for shoving this dude who's going to bring up family in don't blame him at all. But it's also not the best. The vibes around the team aren't great when this is the story of the season, in that Embiid is fighting with the columnist instead of, what's going on with him basketball wise. So vibes aren't great in Philadelphia right now. Team isn't very good. Their one win was against the Pacers, which is a fine win, but the Pacers have been hit and miss, and it took every bit of the Pacers choked that game away. I watched that game. They choked that game away. That was more a Pacers loss than a Sixers win. I think the Sixers will ultimately turn it around because the talent is there. They got the Clippers coming up. The Clippers are a tough team. Like, Clippers play well defensively. Clippers play hard. They're much better than I thought they would be to start the season without Kawhi. And then they got the Lakers as well. And anytime I just mentioned the Lakers going East Coast to West Coast, the Clippers, this is a road trip. The Sixers is the road trip for them, going East Coast to West Coast. And it got off to a rough start against Phoenix, and now they've got the 2 LA games. So it's a tough outlook with their upcoming games. And I just don't, until Embiid gets back, it's tough to fully judge this team. What we can judge them on right now is their 1-5 record, and they're not good.
That is fair. Number 2 for me this week is the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the number 1 seed overall in the NBA at 8-0. The Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers have looked really, really strong this season. Donovan Mitchell, he's been shooting the ball pretty well. Their big men have been playing it in their roles very well. I mean, Jared Allen still can't score a bucket some games, but he's a consistent rebounder,
He can't score a bucket? Wait, what?
He can't score a bucket some games. I said some games he can't score a bucket, and then there's other games. He's very inconsistent on the offensive end. That's what I'm trying to say. But
Jared Allen shooting like 80% from the field this year.
Yeah. When he shoots the ball, sometimes he doesn't want to shoot the ball. He just wants.
He's not tasked with shooting the ball. He's the fourth option.
He could be a double-double every night. That's my issue.
He is a double-double every night. He has one game where he doesn't have a double-double.
That's what I'm saying. He should be a double-double every single night. Doesn't matter.
He's got 7 out of 8 games. He's a double-double, SP3.
Should be 7. It should be 8 for 8. 8 for 8. But no, they're really good. Their big men are playing their role well. Donovan Mitchell is a true leader for the team. 8-0. You can't argue with that. And they've been making the Bucks look very, very bad. And they beat my Los Angeles Lakers, probably our worst loss of the season. So, got to give it up to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Way too hard on Jared Allen. I'm going to defend Jared Allen, the offensive juggernaut, Jared Allen.
This guy.
He's averaging 15 points a game as the fourth option. What
should be a 20-10 guy.
He's not going to be a 20-10 guy on this team. He's just not. He's the fourth option. He's behind Mitchell, Mobley.
Should be a second option.
Stop it. Don't do that. Don't do that, SP. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, Skip.
Should be a number one option.
If Jared Allen's your number one option, no offense to Jared Allen. I like Jared Allen. I just defended him. Your team sucks. If he's your number one option, your team sucks.
Hey, I gotta give it up. I gotta give it up for the Brooklyn Nets, man. Brooklyn Nets has looked good so far. 4-4.
They've looked a lot better than a
lot better than they looked on paper. That's for sure.
Yeah, yes, a lot better than they had any right to look this early. Can't believe your Jared Allen slander over here.
We'll see if they're still in the top three next week. We'll see.
I think they will be top three all season. I mean, I was high on Cleveland going into last season. Now they're making me look smart a season later. So, Cavs have been fun to watch. I've watched.
It's like my Anthony Davis top 5 MVP prediction. It's a year later, 3 years later, it worked out.
I don't want to bring up this bad stat, but I just noticed this. The Lakers are the only team with a winning record with a negative point differential.
Yeah, because our losses have been bad. Yeah. We've won a lot of couple of close games, but our losses have been like not the greatest. Yeah. Not the greatest at all.
At the bottom two, the Utah Jazz. I don't have anything to say about this team. They're not fun. They just that's it. I'm not going to pretend like I've watched a bunch of Utah Jazz basketball. It's not a team that I care to watch. They're not very good. They're 1-6. What am I going to watch Utah for? Markkanen's hurt right now.
They're not a fun team to watch play right now. That's for sure.
They played the Bulls last night. They got their first win of the season last night against the Bulls because the Bulls don't defend anybody, which is fine by me. By the way, this Josh Giddey trade, it's working out pretty well. Working out.
Well, pretty well for y'all, yeah.
Bulls fans, bless them. I don't know if Phil's going to watch the replay or if Phil's watching right now. Bulls fans tried to be like, oh, Josh Giddey had like a good game. He went like 4 for 4 from 3 in one game. They're like, look at, robbery. Josh Giddey out here he had like a 20-10 game or something. What was it? Yeah, 20-11-5. 4 for 4 from 3. This is against Orlando. And Bulls fans like, Josh Giddey, they robbed OKC with this trade. How's Caruso doing? They looked at Caruso scoring like 2 points per game. And they're like, look at Caruso with his 2 points per game. Josh Giddey out here with 20-11-5, 4 for 4 from 3. Okay, good. I hope Josh Giddey plays well. He didn't play.
You just limited wealth with the Bulls and Josh Giddey's contributions to them.
He doesn't play any defense. That was the big issue. Is he didn't play defense, and he was inconsistent from 3. He didn't fit with OKC's current team. I was like, good. I hope Giddey plays well. I hope he shines on a team that will allow him to shine a little bit more because it's not going to happen in OKC. And it still hasn't happened. He's fine with the Bulls. He gets some numbers. He also gets burned every time he's on the floor. They lost to the Jazz last night, man. Giddey was -18. But keep defending him. Keep praising him, Bulls fans. Enjoy that. The Jazz suck.
Yeah, the Jazz are not good. The Jazz are not good at all. But number one this week is, of course, Jeremy's Oklahoma City Thunder. 7-0 the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. My pick for the NBA MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, averaging 26 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals per game, 1 block per game. This man is filling up a stat sheet every single night. Not shooting the ball the greatest from 3, but he is shooting consistently from the floor, 47% from the floor. Chet Holmgren is almost averaging a double-double. He's almost averaging 10 rebounds along with 17 points. You got Jay Wills putting up 18 points per game. And Lou Dort, the Dorter chamber is not only a great on-ball defender, but he's actually shooting the ball well from 3. So I got to give it up for this team. Just 1 through 9. I think they're the deepest team in all of the NBA. And yes, I am including the Boston Celtics. I think that this team is the deepest, and that's why they're my pick to be in the NBA Finals.
I think we get our first loss this week. We finally play someone good. The schedule has been what it's been. There hasn't been a whole lot of great teams. I'm not gonna be like,
your only good win has been the Nuggets, really.
And that was first game of the season. The Clippers, the Magic didn't have Ben Caro. Without Ben Caro, that team's not that great. Like the Clippers win is actually better than I think people are going to give it credit for because the Clippers do play hard. And the Clippers are 2-4, but they're in a lot of those games and they do play hard. They just don't have any like firepower to really get them over the top. They haven't beaten really any good to great team. The Nuggets, the Rockets, and the Warriors this week. Those are all good teams. That's going to be. We're going to finally see what this team's a little bit. I think we'll get our first loss this week, which is fine. Still a good record. What do I always say it? I said it last week. I'll continue to say it. You play who's in front of you, and if you handle the business that's in front of you, and you do it impressively, which they've done. They've won every game by double digits. They've done it impressively. It's not like they're playing close games against these teams. They're blowing all these teams out. And we'll see what happens when they get into a close game. And I think we'll get one this week. But overall, we're playing great. Don't have Hartenstein yet. Once he gets there, I think we'll be even better. Right now, we're playing about as well as you can expect. The defense is outstanding. It's a murderer's row defensively. Chet was in foul trouble against the Clippers. And, the Clippers got Zubac. So Zubac, like, theoretically, could kind of have his way. He had, like, Dort on him. He had Caruso on him. Zubac should be able to, like, handle that. He had, like, 9 points that game with Chet in foul trouble. The defense just swarms guys, just overwhelms guys. It's really outstanding to watch. Alex Caruso hasn't scored the ball as well. He hasn't shot the ball. I didn't expect him to be like a big time scorer or anything. He's shooting 16% from 3. I would like to think he's not going to shoot 16% all season. He's a career like 40% 3-point shooter. So shooting 16% is a little troubling.
Not a good look. Not a good look at all. But
his 3-point shooting will come around at some point. But what he does defensively is he's all over the place defensively, just making hustle plays and energy plays that just disrupt the other team. It's fantastic to watch. We're good. We're fun. It's been an enjoyable start to the season.
I agree. I like my pick so far. So far, so good. 2 weeks in, we're looking good. All right, number 1, bottom 5. Bottom 3.
I already talked about them. The Bucks. They're terrible.
Yeah, you don't need to. You don't need to go in even more on them.
Yeah, there's nothing else to go into on that. They suck. They're just awful, and we'll see if they do anything about it.
Let's see if they can turn it around this coming week. I don't see that happening. But
let me look at their schedule for this upcoming week. Who they got? Let's see here.
They got the Jazz, the Knicks, Celtics before the NBA Cup starts.
Okay. They'll beat the Jazz. If they lose to the Jazz,
then there's a problem. There's a bigger problem than what we think.
If they lose to the Jazz, they got to go play college basketball. The college basketball season started. They got to go play college basketball.
We got to play college basketball. I'm down with that.
I mean, they'll beat those teams.
We're putting them on the clock to play college basketball now.
They got to find new jobs. Doc Rivers should be fired if they lose to the Jazz. Like, no two ways about it. If they lose to the Utah Jazz, you have to fire Doc Rivers at the very least, because you're probably not going to be able to pull off a trade this early in the season unless somebody comes in for an offer for Dame. If they lose to the Jazz, it's at home. Doc Rivers, the second the clock hits 0, you got to fire him if they lose to the Jazz. Like, 0 is on the clock. Whoever the owner is, whoever owns the Bucks, get down there. Here you go, Doc. Don't even come to the locker room. Go find some other line of work. And then Darvin Ham gets promoted to head coach, and we'll see how that goes.
Oh God, it's even worse. Even worse. You're done if you do, and you're done if you don't.
Yeah, you can't have Doc Rivers. You can't have him. You can't have him return if they lose to the Jazz. But after that, let's say they beat the Jazz. I mean, then you still got the Knicks and the Celtics. Like, those aren't easy wins. Those feel like losses with the way they've been playing. So it's not like it's an easy week for them with that schedule.
No. So next week we'll have not only our top 3, bottom 3, but we'll have a preview of the very prestigious NBA Cup, NBA in-season tournament. Very prestigious because the Los Angeles Lakers, the greatest franchise in NBA history, won the first one. So it's very prestigious.
Are we going to preview the NBA Cup? Who cares?
Yes, everyone cares. That was very prestigious. Despite the Lakers having a rough season last year, we did win the NBA Cup.
I hung a banner for
it. We got a banner up. 17, number 17. We put it up.
Don't stop that. No. You're not counting.
We put up number, oh no, that was an 18th banner before the Boston Celtics did. So bravo to us.
Counting an in-season tournament banner.
Yep.
Stop it.
Yep.
Not counting that at all.
Pat on the back. Thank you. We appreciate it.
I don't care about the NBA Cup. Like, it's a cool gimmick. The teams seem to play a little bit harder for those games. Last season just sort of proved that, like, all right, fine. It's an in-season thing, and then it doesn't really have any bearing on anything else. The Lakers won it. And then what happened to the Lakers? They were out in the first round. They were playing.
Hey, it's only because we faced the reigning NBA champions. I mean,
sure. But like, they were a play-in team.
And we outscored them for most of the game. We just didn't outscore.
They should have hung a banner for that too. Outscored the reigning NBA champions in the series. Still lost 4-1. Hang the banner.
Kind of embarrassing, but I'll take accomplishment when I can take it. But yes. Anything else?
I don't think there's anything else from the NBA season. I've sent the link to our pal Cher Delaware. We're just waiting on her. The NFL trade deadline is today. I don't know if
their trade deadline is never that interesting, really. There's usually minor trades. I don't know what's H-Shot going on about the Kansas City Chiefs are the worst undefeated team in sports. Like, I mean, that feels like an oxymoron to say worst undefeated team. Like, even though they're the reigning 2-time Super Bowl champions, of course they're playing down to their competition in the regular season. They feel like they could turn it on in the playoffs. So I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the NFL right now. I think the Detroit Lions, I would, if we did a top 3, bottom 3 for the NFL, I would probably put the Detroit Lions at number 1. But the Kansas City Chiefs are still in that top 3.
It's very dumb to say, the worst undefeated team ever. It's like it was dumb. Like, OKC's the worst 1 seed ever. Okay. They're the 1 seed. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
They're undefeated.
Who
cares?
And that was false because the Atlanta Hawks in the 2010s were consistently number one in the Eastern Conference. And no one believed they were even going to make it to the conference finals, and they never did. So that you can only judge these things in retrospect. You can't judge them in the moment. In the moment, you can't say, oh man, they're 8-0. They're the worst undefeated team. No, you can only do it for the end after the Super Bowl ends. Then you can say, oh, when they were 8-0, they were the worst undefeated team ever because they didn't win the Super Bowl. That's even then, it doesn't make too much sense to even harp on that.
It's dumb to say the worst undefeated team because they're undefeated. A better way, I think, to judge any of this, even OKC, okay, they're the worst one seed, weakest one seed. Do they have flaws? Can you point out their flaws? And last year for OKC, yeah, you could. Hey, Josh Giddey can't shoot from three. Hey, they're kind of a weaker rebounding team. Like they're small inside. You might be able to take advantage of them. Now, look, they did enough in the regular season to still be in the one seed. It's like, oh, what can we do to take advantage of these flaws in the playoffs? The Dallas Mavericks did that. They kind of let Giddey open. PJ Washington turned into friggin' prime Ray Allen. PJ Washington shooting like 12% from three this year. This man could not miss against OKC, shooting like 12% this year. It's so frustrating. But anyway, PJ Washington turned into Ray Allen, and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford played really well on the boards and inside. The Chiefs' flaws, hey, they're not getting too much out of Mahomes compared to what we expect. Their defense is kind of carry them. Travis Kelce doesn't seem as involved as he typically is. The receivers are coming around. DeAndre Hopkins just got there and he played well last night, got a couple touchdowns and everything. Okay, what's the flaws? How do you take advantage of them? Instead of just like qualifying, oh, they're a weak one seed. They're the worst. They're the worst undefeated team. It's like, hey, they're undefeated, but here's their weaknesses. Here's how a team could potentially beat them. Now it's on another team to go out there and actually exploit these flaws and actually beat them. Until then, they're going to keep winning games. They're still undefeated. They're still the one seed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Worst undefeated team. Let me be undefeated. Oh, they're the worst champions ever.
I said that's kind of an oxymoron. Like you can say, or I think you can say, like, oh, they're the worst championship. Like to me, the worst NBA champions of all time is probably the Detroit Pistons in 2004. Because there's no all-time players on that team. Chauncey Billups was the NBA MVP. NBA Finals MVP. But it's also because I'm a Lakers fan. I hate that team so much. So that's why I can admit the reason why I'm doing that. I'm saying that.
It's you know what annoys me that we've seen a lot of recently. Westbrook is the worst MVP of all time. Look how bad he is right now. This is such a bad MVP. That man averaged a triple.
You have to realize, like, in like a decade from now, kids are gonna be looking at like, what the hell? This guy was everything. Like how when me and Jeremy were kids, we used to and I know Jeremy was a good NBA mark like I was. When we looked at Oscar Robinson's numbers when we were a kid, we would be like, how the hell did this guy average a triple-double? But then you actually got to see it with Russell Westbrook. And it was insane. Like you said, he averaged a triple-double, and he took a team that had no business making the playoffs to like a 6 seed. Yes, he deserved that.
Especially to qualify it is like, look how bad Westbrook is now. So he shouldn't be the MVP. Well, yeah, he's older. He's not as good. You're not going to take away a 2016 MVP because of how he is 8 years later. What did Derrick Rose do 8 years later after he won his MVP? Derrick Rose had a bunch of injuries. He declined. Just, it is what it is. Like,
I always
judge it on the moment.
Steve Nash didn't deserve 2 MVPs. I will say that. That was always been my argument.
I love Steve Nash.
I know you love Steve Nash, but come on, Kobe should have won more than one MVP. That's all I know. He took a team with Smush Parker as the second best player.
Smush Parker was underrated.
In retrospect, maybe you're right. Smush.
Our pal Cher Delaware is here. There we go. Hello, Cher.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you guys?
Doing well.
We're doing well.
All right, we got a lot to talk about with Love Is Blind. You want to start with Love Is Blind, or you want to start with the challenge? I'll let you pick, SP3.
I don't know. I think we can hold off on the challenge and we can do 2 weeks in a row because I think there's going to be a lot to talk about from Love Is Blind, this reunion. Because like I said at the top of the show, I think this is one of the most toxic, drama-filled, and messy reunions in reality television history. Like, it just, I mean, you had a couple of boring parts. Like, every time they talked to a cast member that wasn't on this season, I was like, why do they do this? Why do they do this? I don't want to hear about Bliss in the first Love Is Blind baby. I don't want to hear about that. AD, You look great. Congratulations, AD. You don't even want to tell us who you're dating, even though you look like you're dating, what's his name? Brandon or whatever the guy was from that same season as Bliss in them. And then he had nothing to say. He's like clapping like this at one point because he's drinking champagne. And then they have this other chick who had a baby. She's not even married to someone from Love Is Blind, but her baby's wearing a suit. That was the most entertaining part of any of the cast members that wasn't on this season, is the baby wearing a suit. That always marks me out because I have kids. And then some other chick. I don't even know. I don't even care. Why are they here? I don't give a shit.
They waste so much time on that. They did it the last season too. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I did not care that Alexa was as big as a house pregnant last season. Like, I don't care about any of this. If you're going to do that, make the reunion longer, because we don't care about these people. This is the reunion for this season. And I hated this season. I hated these people, but I still didn't want to see the people from the last season.
I will say, though, because the people were so horrible this season, that's what made this the best Love Is Blind reunion so far. I mean, it's because it was so much drama to get into. And I love how they did structure the portions that were on the cast, because they started off, let's start off nice because we got the boring couple of Taylor and Garrett. And Garrett got glowed up because he's with Taylor, and Taylor's wearing a fucking uniform from Hunger Games. Like, this is all great. This is all great. Let's talk to them. He's got hair now. Oh, this is nice. Then we was like, all right, let's get to the drama. All right. Tyler, Ashley, why did you lie? You have the opportunity to kind of speak for yourself, and he still lies. Tyler's still lying. Why is he still lying? Because first of all, the first time he brings up his kids, he says, these kids didn't deserve that. These are not these kids, sir. Those are your kids. My kids didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve their birth certificates being out there. And you once again lied that, yes, it did start off in a surrogate type of situation, sperm bake type situation with the first child. But then you conceived twins with the same woman. So, like, be real at some point. It's already out there. It's already been said. All we needed to hear was your side of the story, but you're still lying. And Ashley, you don't look that much better either, sister. I'm gonna tell you, sister, you are beautiful. You don't need this man. You don't need to deal with all of this. Yeah, Love Is Blind, and you fell in love with someone who is a flawed individual, and you got to stand by your man, and I respect that. But you look foolish in the way. I mean, I don't blame you. I also don't blame. I'm trying to be nice.
Listen, love is blind, but love doesn't have to be stupid too. Like,
agreed. Agreed. Because like her standing up there and being like, "Oh yeah, I knew he lied," when he was like, "Oh," and then saying, "Oh, we talked about it beforehand. I knew everything." You would think I know more than the internet. Well, apparently you do, because he's still up here lying.
Right.
He doesn't owe anybody an explanation, you know? Just Ashley doesn't owe anybody an explanation.
And then they basically admitted that what we see on the show is fake. That they had the conversation beforehand, and then she wanted the whole situation to be genuine and have the conversation again on camera, but he's not telling the truth and he's not saying what he said off camera on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not being genuine. That whole conversation on the couch was fucking pre-planned, basically. That's what you're telling us.
I mean, it sounded when the conversation happened, it sounded like it was a conversation they had beforehand anyway. Like it's a weird thing because we talked about this last week with Hannah and Nick. I thought that was a conversation that they kind of already had, but it wasn't in front of cameras. And so they basically had to redo it because now we need it on camera. Where compared to Ramses and Marissa, that felt like, oh, that's a very real and raw conversation that they've not had before. And this is the first Marissa is hearing about any of this. And the cameras were able to catch it. It's an odd situation of like they can't film 24/7. But you obviously have to have certain conversations on camera to tell the story. So yeah, some of the stuff probably does come off of like, yeah, we've had this conversation. Now let's just kind of do a quick version of this conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, neither Ashley nor Tyler looked good.
They didn't go. I didn't think they either of them looked good either. It didn't feel like they were pressed at all about that whole thing. Like, I don't know how much they did or didn't know before the reunion, but it didn't feel like either of them got pressed on what we have learned online. They should have brought out the baby mama. They should have brought out the person that he cheated on. Like, they should have brought out all of these people for that. And that would have been some real drama on that.
Yeah.
Like, they just were like, okay, sure. This is your explanation. This is your truth. And that was it. There was no pressing on them at all.
There never is.
I was a little disappointed.
They're not good. The Lachey's are not good. Oh my God. They were annoying me with the jokes. With the awful jokes to segue.
Nick had to keep making the wrap it up. Nick had to keep making the wrap it up jokes. Like, all right, we get it. It didn't work the first time. You don't have to keep doing this one, Nick. It's okay.
It was really bad. And another couple, there was multiple couples here that both of them looked bad. And the next one is Ramses and Marissa. And Marissa would look worse later on when she got involved in someone else's relationship.
Yeah.
But like I felt a lot of sympathy coming out of the relationship and the ending of their relationship the way they are. But the stuff that she said throughout this whole reunion, I was just like, now you kind of look bad too. Like, I don't know how he this man just wanted to kind of sneak into the couch at certain points. Like, he's still coming up with the energy thing, Ramses.
Energy.
Like, yeah. Our energies just didn't match, and we weren't on the same energy, and I would feel overwhelmed every single day. So it just wouldn't have worked out. And you have Marissa over here saying, I think I hate him now. But she later admitted she slept with him after the show, after he broke her heart.
Marissa and Ramses were not, King Potato saying they didn't press them at all. No, they let both of them, especially Ramses.
Yes.
Like, it felt like was able to slide very, very easily on this. Because
you don't ask him, what does that mean? And your energies wouldn't have matched. What does that even mean?
No, like, Nick felt more concerned about making let's make the wrap it up joke 100 times instead of like actually asking what was going on with this. It felt like Marissa wanted to say more too and was like kind of holding back, but she wasn't even asked enough of like, okay, how do you like feel about what are your real, because I think she said at one point she was telling Hannah like, oh, I hate him. and like there was no real follow-up on that. Ramses is just like, yeah, it happened, like, I'm sorry, and then that was it. Like, it didn't seem again, they weren't pressed at all about this.
Just awful. I mean, I like that they gave the mom an opportunity when she said, "Oh yeah, I went over after they broke up and I wanted to punch him in the throat."
Should have.
I was like, Vanessa, you're awesome. You're the good Vanessa on this whole reunion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The best energy.
She did have the best energy, because I love how she chimed in on the whole Katie situation. She whispered to Katie, she was like, she made you feel like shit for a whole year. Marissa's mom is the best, and her look when Marissa admitted that she fucked Ramses after the breakup. Like, yeah, good stuff. But the couple that looked the worst coming out of this whole reunion.
Oh God.
Once again, is Hannah and Nick. But they're also the couple that provided the best entertainment on this whole reunion. Oh my God. Hannah, at least you answered it honest. When she says, when they asked her, "Oh, you look great. How do you feel?" She was like, "I'm trying." It's like, yeah, you're not there yet. You're not there, sister. You're still the same person who is. I'm just honest. I just keep it real. I don't regret anything I said. And it's just like, like, they're giving you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to just apologize for who you are, like, for what you did on the show, how you treated him. Like, you can apologize regardless of everything else of what he said off camera and whatnot. And that, mind you, I'm not saying that I favor Nick over Hannah anymore. I'm done with that. After this reunion, nah, Nick is not the good guy in this situation. Nick was
either of them are the good guy.
Neither one of them. They're just two horribly flawed people who were put together on a reality show. And she let her own insecurities come out a lot more than Nick did. Nick is a very much a fucking politician. He smiles in our face, and then he's talking trash off of the camera, and then they call him out for that, because I don't even understand why Hannah would admit that she went through his stuff when he wasn't around.
Yeah, why that wasn't pressed at all. It's just like, oh yeah, by the way, I just looked at your notebook and stuff. You're not gonna question why she was just like going through his stuff on there. And Nick was just like, yeah, I left it out. Like, I clearly wasn't bothered by it. It was something, if you saw it, you saw it. But like, why are you even looking at this stuff? That wasn't a question at all. It was just like, oh, how could you write this, Nick? How could you do that? It's like, how are you not going to question her for going through this stuff?
Bro, he wants to be the most famous person on Love Is Blind. Guess what? Newsflash, everyone. Everyone on this show wants to be famous.
Yeah.
You would not go on this reality show to find love if you did not want to be famous. So what Nick wrote was not as bad as they tried to make it out to be.
Like, Hannah quit her whole job. She definitely thought she was going to get all these freaking brand things on Instagram and wasn't going to have to work again. So I thought that was idiotic anyway. But like you mentioned, her being like, oh, I'm trying. She needs daily therapy. Like, I'm not saying this in a negative way. I am someone who goes to therapy. I don't think that she recognizes her own flaws within herself. She is someone who just puts them off on everyone else. And I think that she thought once she got skinny, she was just going to be the perfect person. And I think that she, like, I would hope that this show was the thing that would open her eyes and be like, hey, I need to take a few steps back. I don't need to try to find a partner right now. I need to work on myself, but I don't think that it is.
No. She's become a TikTok influencer now. Like, she's more worried about that, and she's doing that as like her daily job. And like I said, I appreciate anyone who wants to be a good friend to their friend and, good girlfriend to their girlfriend. But Marissa, you did not do a good job. All you wanted to do was just put Nick's feet to the fire. You weren't really protecting Hannah at all. You literally admitted that Hannah's been a bitch to you. And that's another thing that the Lachey's did not. I would ask the follow-up question, like, how is she a bitch to you? Like, oh, that's interesting. How is Hannah a bitch to you? Like, y'all never press anybody. And Hannah needed to have her feet to the fire just as much as Hannah and Marissa were putting Nick's feet to the fire. And Nick, oh my God, you have no sense of accountability. And read the goddamn room. You said some shit on the slide to who you thought were your friends, but your friends were pillow talking to your fiance's friends. So like, you should have realized that yes, you are boys with these people, but one of these people is going to admit that you said what you said. So let me just be honest and hold accountability to myself that yes, I was underwhelmed, as he said. I was underwhelmed with her. But apparently he called her a grenade. And I love, Steven had no sense of bro code at all.
None.
Steven, I don't want to mess up bro code. Nick Lachey's like, I don't want to mess up bro code. But Steven, did Nick say what he said? He's like, yes. Yeah. Popped AD and Brand. That was the best part of the people that aren't on this cast was their reaction to Steven just throwing them under the bus.
And Nick, I didn't feel bad for him because he doesn't seem like the best person in the world, especially coming off of this. But Nick got way more heat than like Ramses got. And I was like, what?
Yeah,
what?
That's not fair. It's not
fair.
It's not fair.
He was completely caught. Marissa had way more energy for Nick than she had for Ramses.
Facts. She was more upset at Nick than she was Ramses. Like, what are we doing? What is going on?
Well, she hooked up with Ramses after the show, so she's still feeling.
And that's what made Marissa admit that she fucked up, because Nick was like, "Oh, if I was so bad, why did she hang out with me after the show ended?" She was like, "We do dumb shit. I was fucking that man." God damn. All right, that's a little too much. And then Ramses also, he needed to be pressured. He needed to be pushed because this man was once again trying to sneak into the couch. Like, if I don't say anything, they will know I'm here. Well, no, I'm here. And then it was like, Ramses, you want to be all quiet? Go figure. Marissa said, and then Ramses slightly like, Nick, this is the time to be honest. If you said something, you said something. It's okay. We all say things that we didn't mean or we regret. And now it's the time to finally say something. And then he finally admits that he was underwhelmed with Hannah. But Hannah, Marissa, that does not negate or make it right how Hannah treated Nick. That was my issue. They gave Nick a whole shit show and dragged him through the mud.
Yeah.
But it basically, in Hannah's mind, it made her right to treat him like trash.
Oh, Hannah got off by just basically saying like, yeah, I know I can be a bitch. I'm working on it. And then like, oh, okay. All right. You see it. You admit your flaw and you're working on it. We can just move on and not press you and not and not point it out. Like, you see it. Okay. No problem.
You know what, Nick? I was also underwhelmed with Hannah. So I relate.
But yeah, her just basically like admitting it and just saying like, yes, I know I can be a bitch. I'm working on it. They're like, all right, well, we don't need to dive too deep into it. We don't need to question why you went through his stuff. We don't need to question why you wrote down 10 things I hate about you on the first night with everything. They didn't bring that up at all. The first night, Cabo, whatever. She's over here like, he can be immature. He can flirt too much. I don't know if he's responsible. She's writing down 10 things I hate about you about this man. And that was not brought up once on this. Once.
Listen, if I was another cast member on the show, I would have brought it up. I would have been like, hey, so, because like I want to know about this. Like I actually just tweeted out like they've got to get new hosts for the reunion. If they want to have those two idiots be the host in the show, fine. Nobody cares about any of that. I know they're executive producers. They need someone else on the reunion because they are awful. They're so bad.
We got to
they don't
throw
know what they're
to
doing.
Bliss and see how she's doing.
No, they're so bad at this. Like they should just stop doing it. And it's the fact that if Hannah and Marissa was so upset with what Nick wrote down and what Nick said to his boys and calling Hannah a grenade and not being overwhelmed with how she looked and whatnot, she should have brought that up from jump. As soon as she was questioned on how she treated him, she should have brought that up and said that was her reasoning why she treated him, because she heard all of this from her friends. Just get it out from the jump, because how we got to Nick getting dragged, which, mind you, I will say again, he deserved to be dragged because he's fake as fuck. And he kind of alluded to that when they got to Mexico, when he was like, yeah, if we're gonna have sex, we can't say it on camera. I have an image, I have a brand that I'm trying to make and whatnot. So man, fuck that guy. He deserved to be dragged on this reunion, but you needed to say that before, because how we got to there was Nick trying to defend Hannah.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I don't like the hate comments that she's getting online. And then Hannah was like, well, why are you liking the hate comments? And then that's when she got the whole barrage of what he said and what he wrote down, and admitting she went through his shit and admitted that she stalked him on social media with her friend. Like, what is going? And that she's getting DMs from chicks that he's talking to. So she basically admitted that she is sending chicks to Nick to get back to her. Like, that's what she admitted.
Yeah.
This is not normal behavior. Like, we need a therapy session right on the fucking stage. This woman needs therapy. She's not normal.
And yeah, I don't think either of them are very normal.
That's
And then Hannah, they brought in Katie, and Hannah's like, I'm sorry. It still feels like, was that, I can't remember. I think they brought it up on the show. Was that like the first time? Because they were talking about like, oh, why are you doing this apology on the show? Like, you just want to be famous as well. Like, this is like the first time she just apologized to Katie, like after a year. And it's like, you had all this time to address this and you just didn't. What?
So much
what is
for
happening?
Being best friends.
Yeah.
Best friend. My best
well,
friend
Marissa's her best friend now. It was Katie. Now it's Marissa. Yeah, Hannah, I don't think she came off very well on this either. But yeah, I think it was Nick who was like, why are you saying this now? Like, yeah, like you guys were saying, you don't go on this show unless you want to be some type of famous. Like, what are we doing here? I understand Nick's writing down, in his 90-day journal to be the most famous person on Love Is Blind. Not the best look in the world. But no one is on this show to go if you don't want to be famous. You want to find love, don't do it on a reality show. Don't do it on a reality show.
Yeah.
Oh, King Potato, we addressed that last week of how to become best friends with someone you only knew for 2 weeks. Hannah was just saying shit of like, that's my best friend. How you doing as my best friend? He could have been talking to anybody else in the pod. He could have been talking to literally anybody else. Somebody we didn't even see. Mary. He could have been talking to someone named Mary who was on screen for 2 seconds at that little mixer. And Hannah would have been like, why are you talking to my best friend like that? That's my best friend.
To be fair, they're finding husbands and wives in like 7.5 minutes. So I don't think it's a stretch that they're calling them best friends, because all of these people are idiots. So
oh man, it's just not none of them look good in that whole situation.
None.
And we finally got to someone though who did look good coming out of this, that looked a lot better than what they did on the show. Because I am now a fan of Leo. I'm sorry. Yeah. Leo is not as bad as I thought he was in the pod. He's just a very aloof idiot. And like
an idiot. That's what he's like a lovable idiot is the way that I described him yesterday. Like at first we just didn't get enough of him, and we were like, this guy is a moron. He's so annoying, but now he's like endearing. Like,
Yeah. I thought he was like a manipulator, the whole thing with him and Hannah in the pods. And he was like a manipulator. And he is still obsessed with his own money.
Yeah.
But he is overall, that was what he was exactly what we originally said. He was a child. He's never been in this type of situation.
Yeah.
He compared women to food.
Steak and pasta.
Listen, if I'm going to be compared to something, I want it to be steak and pasta. Like,
but the food has feelings.
well, you know, sometimes.
I think he got off easy on the manipulation stuff. Like, he apologized for it. He owned up to it. And because
he showed
of everything,
more accountability than Nick.
Oh, he 100% did. He showed more accountability than Nick, Ramses, anybody up there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why he did get off a little bit easier on that, because he at least did own up to it. And then everything else that went into like what he was saying and being stupid with some of his analogies and comments and everything. And all the guys were defending him as well. It was like, Leo was like the coolest dude in the pod. He wanted to kind of bro out, and he we saw the fun, happy side with him, and it was great.
We're gonna get to him, but Tim has so much more love for Leo than he did Alex.
Oh yeah, he 100%. He's like, Leo was my guy in there. It's like, okay, sure. Yeah, I think that's why Leo got off easier on this, and like because they let everyone off easy. It's like, all right, if you're gonna let him off easy on this, like compared to the rest of the people who you probably should have pressed, like fine, you didn't need to press Leo too much. And then Brittany just continued, like, we're best friends. We still talk every day. And, we just weren't compatible. It's like, all right, fine. Leo apparently just likes to eat other people's food and drink other people's drinks. And that's cute or annoying, depending on how you're going to look at it.
Cute or annoying.
Yeah, I really wonder what would have happened. I still think the producers' reasons for was bullshit of not sending them to Mexico.
I agree.
I really wonder what would have happened if they actually got sent to Mexico and not Miami, and like how that would have been portrayed and how they just would have come off, not portrayed, like how they would have reacted to that situation. They probably would have learned that they just weren't compatible with everything, but we needed the moment of like Leo seeing Hannah and Nick seeing Brittany. And like we needed all of these moments to be on camera. Like that's how they actually got off the easiest, is like, yeah, we're just going to send you to Miami. And then, okay, it didn't work out for us. We needed that square coming together on screen, considering that was 75% of what we saw in the pods. And you took that moment from us in Mexico.
Because if their meetup, them seeing each other for the first time, was so awkward that they was like, oh, this isn't going to work out, then they should have done that. If you want to bring up an old cast member, it should have done that with Zach and Irina. Because Zach basically, that whole first meetup, we knew from jump that wasn't going to work out. So you shouldn't have even sent them on the trip in their season. But you did. So that's no excuse for Leo and Brittany.
We had Steven and Monica. So this is actually where I messed up as far as like, oh, you're only doing it for the camera. This is where Monica called out Steven of like, oh, I wrote your letter. I wrote an apology letter to your parents. And Monica's like, what? I knew you were going to bring that up on camera. Like, did you just write that so you could say it to make yourself look good? Monica's tone on him, at the little mixer party, she was like, oh, I talked to Steven. Like, he's a good person. Things are good. He just he still sucks, but everything's like fine. She visibly hated this man on this show, like hated him, and had no problem basically saying that. And Steven just basically got off on everything of like, I own up, I screwed up, I know what I did wrong. It's like, yeah, you still kind of suck though, dude.
Yo, he loves to make himself sound like a freaking victim. He's like, why should I even explain myself? I tried. I went to therapy. I talked to my parents about what I should do. And it's just time after time after time. I just kept getting battered for something I did a year ago. And it's not fair.
Yeah, he just completely was like, I owned up to it. I went to therapy. How much more responsibility do I have to take? And I was like, all right, dude. All right. Wait. They brought up the text messages, and was it a random person where they've been talking for years, and he's just like, oh, I deleted them, but we'd been talking for a while. And
then he admits that he doesn't delete his messages.
But the worst part to this is like, he was like trying to give himself credit of like,
I overcame a demon.
Yeah, I overcame a demon by like only replying once and then not replying again. I'm so proud of what? How about you overcome the demon by not replying at all, buddy? How about that's the demon you overcome?
I haven't talked to this person since, and all this nonsense. And then every time he tried to make a joke, it was just so bad. Like, he tried to make a joke off of Leo's bad analogy about comparing women to food. He was like, well, I like to consider myself meat. And Nick Lachey even had to say, Steven, we'll get to you. We'll get to you. You got no pop for that. We'll get to you. Then, what was it? Nancy asking him, like, Steven, what was in the text? He was like, yeah, it was juicy. I don't know. I deleted them.
This dude sucks. This dude absolutely sucks. I liked how they showed like the picture of him at the sleep appointment, the sleep study, or whatever. It's like
a picture from any time.
One, it could have been a picture from any time. It's like, I don't think the issue in question is him going to this sleep study,
right?
Or not. No one was like, oh yeah, you were lying about going to a sleep study. It's like, yeah, you probably were at this sleep study. What the hell were you doing at this sleep study, being drunk and texting people?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
this
that
is
negates
the issue here.
I'm pretty sure that negates the results of a sleep study. If you're drunk.
No, I still maintain you need the data on, you got to go to the sleep study drunk. You got to go on this drug. You got to go on that drug. You got to go after this. We need multiple data points on this sleep study. That's a real sleep study for this.
He has sleep apnea. He let us know. He has sleep apnea.
Then we finally had Alex and Tim, and they hate each other.
Oh my God. This was the second best part outside of Nick and Hannah. And this one, I would say Alex looks a lot better than Tim. Like, Tim is a fuck. I've seen multiple people put this as their headline for Tim. This is Diary of a Mad Black Person. He's got so much inner trauma and lost in his life. He does not know how to treat a woman. He does not know how to treat a woman.
He should have never been on this show weeks after he lost somebody close to him. Never been on this show.
No, he needed to not be on this show. He tried to start off this thing nice, but as soon as Alex started talking, he was getting upset. He was making stuff up, saying, well, she was out till 4 a.m. the night before we met her parents. She was like, no, I was not. The whole reason that I was upset when I met your parents is because you met my parents the day before, and then we went out to dinner after, and you said that you were having doubts. And why would you put on this whole big show, do all of that for my father if you had doubts? And I was like, yeah, I now I understand because I said when we were talking about that whole scene when she met the parents that she did not look engaged. She did not look like she was into that whole meeting the way others have been into the meeting with the parents, and that she gave us the reason why. So I was just like, yo, like, why is this man so mad about her going to sleep? Because then we find out the whole Mexico trip. She had just found out about her mom being in the hospital. Her dad was back in the hospital for MS, and she was upset. And all she wanted to do was take a shower and go to sleep. But Tim is triggered every time she goes to sleep. Every time she blinks her eyes. Every time she yawns. He's triggered. What did his parents do to him? What did your parents do to you, Tim? Did your parents not let you take naps? Did you have a nap time when you were in kindergarten? Did you get a cot? Did you get a blanket? Did you a teddy bear? Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you so triggered when this woman wants to go to sleep? And then the way he came off in the argument, it made it sound like her putting her hand over his mouth was like a violent action. And then he admits it wasn't any domestic violence thing. It was because he was yelling and she did not want him to look like the angry black man that he said he could have came off like. She wanted to keep him quiet so the producers didn't hear them and come into the bathroom. So I was like, my mind was blown because I was like, well, both of them have fault in this whole breakup. No, after this reunion, it's all you, Tim. It's all you.
Tim was... So when they rehashed the thing in Mexico, you know, they both... They seem to disagree on like how much, or they didn't disagree on like assault occurring. So they at least clarified that like there was no physically assaulting, but then everything else they definitely disagreed on. Her just keep calling like, you're acting like a little bitch. You're a little bitch. It's like him just calling
out of
her
my name.
Yes. Yeah, he was getting so mad every time she was like, you're a little ass bitch. And he was getting so mad.
It's like, why would you do that? You always complain about us brothers not loving y'all. All I want to do was love you. What the hell did I do to you?
The best part was Vanessa being like, it sounds like y'all need to have a conversation off the air. And Tim was like, no, we don't. Huh? Nope. I thought the same thing. I was like, it doesn't sound like they need to talk anymore. Like, they are done. They have no reason to talk to each other. It just seems better that they do not speak to each other for the rest of their lives. I mean, that's what they said as much when they broke up. It's like, and I think we both, Tim was like, we could both agree we just never seem to see each other again.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah, he was like, and now I never want to see you again. Like, yeah.
Yep, we agree that does not need to happen on this. Yeah, it's good that they ended things because they were not good. They were not good together. Taylor and Garrett are fine. Good for them. They actually seem normal, halfway well-adjusted people. Yeah. You seem to be very high on this episode, SP3, like the reunion. I was disappointed that they could have just pressed more on so much stuff. You mentioned it, and I agree. Like, I don't care how these other couples are doing now. I just don't. No offense to them. I don't care how Bliss and Zach are doing. I don't care that whoever they brought in there, it's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of AD. Like, yeah, I'm kind of dating somebody. Marshall, I'm kind of like single. Like, who gives a fuck how you're doing right now? Move on with these people. Like, actually address the issues we saw on screen with some of these men and women. I thought they let off people just a little too easy. The Hannah and Nick portion was good, but I was disappointed that they didn't press Hannah harder on certain stuff. And everything else, I was just like, especially the Tyler and Ashley, I'm like, y'all could have done a lot more on them. Like, we could have gotten a lot more out of them. So I was actually a little disappointed for that. This was, go ahead, SP3.
I would just say that I think that it was a good reunion only because I'm comparing it to other Love is Blind reunions where someone's not there and they got someone on video call. At least we had everybody here. We got some real emotions coming out. We got some real stuff that didn't happen on camera coming out. So I got something out of it. And my opinion of a lot of these relationships changed after the reunion. I could not tell you. All I can remember from the last two reunions is that Laura wasn't there to press Sarah Ann and homeboy that cheated on her. And the one before that was Marshall's ex wasn't there with the new boyfriend. remember the people that weren't there from the last 2 reunions.
Yeah.
At least this one, I'm gonna remember all the drama going on between these relationships.
It was good that everybody was there. I do agree with that. King Potato saying, can we get new hosts to actually press these people on reunions? Yeah, it would be nice if they did. I didn't bring this up last week. The wife actually brought this up to me. Because they're in DC and like potential jobs they may have or could have, like, did they not want to? This was a theory floating around online. Like, could they not say certain things to make themselves look worse and hurt again their potential job that they have or could have? Like, if that's the case, probably shouldn't be on this show at all. Like, probably just shouldn't be on a reality show at all if you're worried about what your job may think and or your potential job and like, oh, that my job's gonna hold this against me. If you think your job's gonna hold a reality show appearance against you, don't go on the reality show. Just don't do it. Like, seems pretty simple to me.
I agree.
The weirdest part. Oh, sorry, SP3. I mean to.
No, I was like, just don't go on this show. That's my advice.
Though, you know what the weirdest part of this reunion was? Why the fuck did they show people from next season? They're like, oh, here's people from Love Is Blind, Minnesota, and they're in the crowd. It's like, so I assume they've already seen each other, which fine, right. But like, why are you even doing that at all? Like, the show is Love Is Blind. They're not supposed to see each other until like it's not like we know it's a reality show. We know it's already filmed and all this stuff, but like you're breaking kayfabe here of having them see each other before the show is aired. What are we doing here? That was so dumb to me. And again, just very unnecessary. You want to show the clip, you want to promote the season, fine, do that. But don't have them sitting in the season and like, here's the cast. Like, no, stop that. Knock it off.
And other than the black homegirl with the green jacket, those men did not inspire me to watch Love Is Blind season 8. That was like my the first thing that my wifey said. She was like, these people are ugly.
I don't even know. Here's the thing is like, I don't even know if all of them were part of the cast though. Because like there was like 3 people that I definitely think were part of the cast.
Yeah.
And then there were like 2 people off to the side that like they still focused on, but I don't think they were actually part of the cast. But I have no idea.
I think it was the 3 people in the middle are the cast.
Yeah. But it was still just pointless to even do it. Like, they're going to Minnesota. No offense to Minnesotans. Like, I don't know how much we're going to get out of people from Minnesota. They seem to live just a boring life. You know, maybe the reality show will bring some drama to them. I mentioned last week that, like, I'm pretty sure the next upcoming season is going to be in Ohio. We're going to get some dumb people on that show. We're going to get some crazies on that show. I've only been in Ohio for 3 years. I can tell you, these people suck. They're all just awful people.
SP3 and I've been there.
Yeah, you were, and you guys were actually around. I mean, the people you guys sat with were not from Ohio. Everybody else in that room was from. Those are the good people. There's some good people here. Yeah. But I'm not gonna put any of the friends on blast or anything. But you know, everyone's a good time. It was there to celebrate my wife and I. So you're not gonna see the crazy side of those people. Some of them people. Some of them, I won't say who. Some of them.
Hey, I went to Minnesota once for Full Gear 2021. Yeah, Cher was there. I was like, Cher was there. So
yeah, y'all started a riot with a picture.
Count on us for that.
Yeah. That was the day that I wore the crop top when it was like 3 degrees outside and snowing because fashion over function.
Yeah, Minnesota just seems.
But seems like it's gonna be interesting. Valentine's Day 2025 for Love Is Blind season 8.
I look forward to it. Hopefully it's a mess and
I hope it's better than this season.
Yeah, this season after the pods was kind of weak. And then they missed the boat not having Leo and Brittany.
Agreed.
Missed the boat.
Agreed. They
Completely
messed it up from the jump.
All right. Anything else to plug, to talk about? We'll do two
Weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks. Thank you. Jeez, can't speak. 2 weeks of the challenge next week.
Yeah, because we won't have Love is Blind.
Yeah.
All right. Cher Delaware, would you like to plug anything?
No.
SV3.
Twitter machine at True Hill SP3. I'll be live in less than an hour, like 45 minutes, over on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel to review last night's Monday Night Raw from the beautiful progressive city of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And check out, like I said last week, SI.com, top 20 greatest WWE wrestlers of all time, because it's getting a lot of traction. Jeff Teague, former NBA player, talked about it on his podcast this week. So, hey, I can die happy. Becky Lynch retweeted it, Hurricane Helms retweeted it, and now Jeff Teague on his podcast talked about it.
There you go. There you go. All right. Appreciate you, SP3. Appreciate you, Cher Delaware. Jeff Teague's podcast is actually good too. So,
even though they didn't know how to pronounce Bruno Sammartino.
Well,
Unfortunately.
you know, what can you do?
It's a mouthful.
Did Jeff Teague give his like top 5 wrestlers or anything? Did he?
I think he said Jeff Hardy should have been on the list.
Oh, okay. I'll say if he gave like top 5 wrestlers, I might have to write an article.
I'm looking at your list now.
Thank you.
I saw you did a video like explaining it, which I appreciate that you like actually did a video.
I really
and, like,
appreciate
defended
that Shawn Michaels is above Bret Hart.
it.
I really appreciate that.
Wow.
This is a list that doesn't have any of my bias in it, because I have Triple H above both of them, and I have Hulk Hogan in the top 2. So
That's fair. Well,
it wasn't about my bias.
I mean, I'm sure that Mrs. Jeremy is going to send me a message now because I said Shawn Michaels above Bret Hart, but
We should
You'll
get
send me a message like, how dare you?
We have one of the 1,500 kids is homesick today, so she's sadly.
Well, in Illinois, they no longer have school on election day, because that's helpful, because, you know, my 7 and 10-year-old need to go vote. So I get to haul them to the polls with me.
That is like,
please vote today. Vote for me. And I mean that
Vote
as
for me.
vote for me, because
Vote
I'm
for
not
me
in the
too.
United States. Yeah. Vote,
But in a
go
different
out
way.
and vote, because I'm not able to, because I'm not in the US right now.
You should have.
I don't think here's the thing. I don't think
Yeah.
school should be off. Some schools are like polling places, like some like school.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, like our high school was like a polling place. I don't think
The
schools
school by me is the polling place.
I don't think schools should be off for election day, because kids can't vote and everything. I do kind of think like it should be a national holiday for like workers and stuff. So you can
because
go
I have
actually-
been working. Yeah, I've been working since 5 o'clock this morning. I get off at 3:30 this afternoon. So then I'm gonna have to go stand in line to vote. And when I get off work, like that's my job
voted.
even. There you go.
There we go. There's my sticker.
You
You can
know,
see it.
even though I work for the government, we don't get off to vote. We have to
I
take
think
unpaid time.
I think workers should have it should be a holiday, so you can. It's once every 4 years. You'll be okay,
Right?
And, like voting's pretty important. You know, you should want to encourage as much voting as you can, and so having it be a holiday would be good. I honestly think, and like college kids can vote as well. Like I'd be fine cancel college classes too. Like.
Yeah.
College kids get the day off and workers get the day off. So you can encourage as many people as possible to vote. Like you should still, if you can make the time, go out and vote regardless. But like, hey, look, sometimes people got to work a 9 to 5. People then got kids afterwards. Like they might not. I know absentee balloting, early voting, all this stuff. There's ways to do it. I get it. I still think having a holiday on this day would be good.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts. I voted. I got out early. I voted early as in the morning and voted. So everyone go vote. Otherwise, we'll see y'all next week. Hopefully this show isn't shut down by the election results. Bye, everyone.